to start by saying thank you, all of the First Nations here. What an honor to stand in solidarity with 15 First Nations on this territory of Turtle Island. And I say to the Dene Masicho, and I say to the Cree Miigwech, and I say thank you to the Haida, Hawa, and to all of the First Nations, the Songhees, the Esquimalt, and Saanich First Nations. Hashka. Thank you so much for your leadership. There were so many folks up here earlier from the NDP. I just can't, it's just me, and there's Donald Galloway here, who's our candidate here in Victoria. And I gotta say, there may just be me, but I want you to notice you have 100% of the Green Party caucus in Parliament here for the rally. Now, I'm going to raise another issue. We know what Stephen Harper's been doing. We've heard from other speakers. He has been ripping up our environmental laws to make room for the Enbridge project, to make room for Kinder Morgan, to make room for fracking. We are the only party that stands against fracking, against Kinder Morgan, against Enbridge, and against super tankers on our coastline. Today, the Fraser Institute issued a report saying we need to drill for oil and gas off the coast of British Columbia. Their addiction problem, Eddie Garner just said they have an addiction problem, and it's getting worse. They're addicted to fossil fuels, even though fossil fuels will kill the planet. And we stand here as a positive statement. When you have a friend with an addiction, you need an intervention, and we are an intervention! Stephen Harper has ripped up environmental laws, the Fisheries Act, the Environmental Assessment Act, and now the Navajo Waters Protection Act. He's fired and laid off and gagged our scientists, all in the interest of sending bitumen crude to China. But he's not just ripping up laws, he's writing dangerous treaties with China. The China-Canada Investment Act, if you don't know about it yet, go to the Green Party website and read about it. We only have till November 2nd to stop this. Stephen Harper plans to pass it without a vote in the House, without a debate in the public. He plans to pass it by order in council. It will bind Canadian governments for a minimum of 15 years. And if a future government gives a 1-year notice to get out of it, any Chinese investment already here is protected for a further 15 years. What is he giving Chinese? He's giving Chinese corporations, which are branches of the Communist Party of China and the government of Beijing. And believe me, Tony Clark and I worked just as hard against this kind of an agreement when it was with US-based corporations, the right to sue Canada because they don't like our laws, because it reduces their expectation of profits. That's what's in this deal, the China-Canada Investment Treaty. And we don't have a right to say anything about it. By God, we do have a right to say something about it. I need to remind Christy Clark, this letter was sent to her from a professor at Osgood Law School. I forwarded it to her myself. Gus Van Harten pointed out to us, which we all will remember. Remember the fight against the MAI? Tony and I remember the fight against the Multilateral Agreement on Investment. You remember? I bet a lot of you were in those hearings. British Columbia held special hearings on what would happen if they tried to put the MAI through. 1998, the agreement from the provincial legislature, the report says, under the Canadian Constitution, the federal government is incapable of unilaterally implementing international treaty obligations in areas that fall within provincial jurisdiction, nor is it acceptable for the federal government to use its treaty-making power in a way that diminishes Canadian federalism and sovereignty. They must not be allowed, this document says, to make an end run around British Columbia sovereignty. They also have no right to make an end run around First Nations rights on their territories. provincial and territorial representatives were updated on the progress of negotiations with the People's Republic of China and did not express any opposition to the agreement.